and you could see the marks on his shoe.
I haven't checked the
He had
sound
different-
yet, so.
He had on
I
different
don't
shoes,
have
tennis
anything.
shoes, sandals.
No echoes or anything.
Good.
Keep on talking.
Yeah.
Keep on talking, Teresa.
Oh, keep on talking?
Yes. Continue.
Okay.
Continue.
Rattlesnake stories?
Yes, keep on going. I'm checking for any.
I think, okay.
So far,
So
so
we're
good.
trying to, I know I got a little email from
Morning.
Fireflies.
They
At the
did you?
beginning, it talked about all the technical difficulties from the last.
Oh, that's because we didn't turn on the sound.
You're rid of fireflies.
We gotta get rid of it.
I don't know why I got one.
You have on it here?
Yes.
Did you have problems yesterday getting your incoming calls?
I don't know. I wasn't. I was outside.
We got a message from Jason, but I wasn't aware of any calls that I missed.
Yeah.
But
Jess has
I
been so
wasn't-
quick on the phone that we don't even hear it ring
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, our
It's
phone,
true.
our phones don't ring until the third ring because
Okay.
Jess answers it. And so if we actually hear the phone ringing, it means it's already had 3 rings, so then we all.
We need to
have
pick it up.
Mhm.
I couldn't do that this morning. We had a missed call while Jess was outside and I was in here. I have to double check that.
And may I ask you a question about your QuickBooks Online?
Yes,
If you go and log in, do you have to get the code?
yes.
Okay,
No,
no?
actually, no, I don't. I do
That
not,
was a
because I'm
problem
the
for me
main holder.
yesterday. I wasn't getting incoming calls on my business line. And I needed the code.
Oh,
Oh.
And I went, okay, well, I'll just do it finally. So then
and I have everything texted to me.
well, it's
When I
because
do that.
you switched to, I switched it to my mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Stick to the chair.
Sure. I don't like mixing the two.
Okay, everybody ready?
We are ready.
All right,
We are
you want
ready.
to, hold on, before he adjourns, make sure, or adjourns.
That's it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Call the order. Sorry, I'm a little fuzzy today.
So, I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting of Fallbrook Regional Health District, August 6, 2025. May we have the roll call, please?
Director Sally.
Yeah.
Director Howard.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, public comments, announcements. Do we have anybody online? Anybody?
No, we didn't have anything today. No.
You just don't care.
No, well, it's might because it's too early. Who knows?
All right. The next item is review of financial statements for June 2025. And I just comment again, what an outstanding financial year. You guys have done a great job. Judith, you're off today.
I am.
But she agreed to come in and talk about the CalPERS SDRMA piece because that has been a labor of love.
Mhm.
Yeah, a baby
Wants
with
to see it
a
over.
baby with colic and.
That's right.
Yeah.
I had very few questions. I think the accounts payable have gone up quite a bit and wasn't sure why that may have happened.
So
Balance sheet.
on the balance sheet. Okay. Mostly, I think a lot of that ends up being the final month of the year, we end up having some additional expenditures that come in.
Everything.
I mean, it's just,
No.
yeah, it's a large percent, but overall, it's not significant because obviously it doesn't throw our year-end financials out.
Without looking on, but the general election, we budgeted 35,000, but spent
Zero.
nothing.
Right, because we didn't have to actually have the election because our candidates didn't have any buddy run against them. So that means that as long as we tell the county, hey, we're not paying for the election because we don't have to.
Good job.
So we pay close attention to that in election years. Because if we don't have to pay the county to run elections that we
Right.
don't have to run.
Yeah, so that's great. I didn't have anything else, Sally. Did you note anything that
I
you'd
didn't,
like to hear about?
no, I sure did not.
It looked really good. You guys are doing great.
Yeah, I mean, if our admin net operating, we were a little over, for the most part, but again, same thing when you look at wellness center, but then you look into the rest of it and you go down to our net income year to date. I mean, we did fine. We're in good shape. I did add in, and I forgot somewhere in here. I think it's after all the other reports, we did the year to date as one single report instead of the, by admin, and that was just to give you the year to date overall. And that's the one where you'll be able to see that net operating income, and that's before our interest and dividends and our unrealized and our other expenses and such. Our net operating income ended up being a positive 305. So those are for our controllable expenses and such.
Great. Well, we don't have to recommend this to the board, do we? I mean, we don't have to say we recommend that
For,
for review of financial statements.
oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just put those forward as,
Yeah.
now, again, Chair Jeffries has asked that we'll do the report, so that won't be in consent. It'll still be a discussion item, but yeah.
All right, well, speaking of discussion items, let us go to ours and reserve policy for administration. And my understanding is that you've had the chance to talk to Sally about that.
Yes.
And I've had the chance to hear about it today. And
So do you want me to just do a brief recap?
yeah,
Okay.
and the one that you are recommending.
Okay, so you'll have in here 3 templates of reserve policies. The first one, which is our adopted approved policy, which we pulled in 2024 when we redid the district's main policy manual. However, our previous legal put this one together and it really doesn't fit our current operations. So I put forward 2 others, one that came forward from SDRMA and a few others. And then the second one, or the last one, really has a lot more information, came through from SDRMA, had input from GFOA. Always get the acronym wrong. And basically what it comes down to is the district needs to make a philosophical discussion of whether or not we need to set a reserve policy that is incredibly conservative, or moderate. And our current policy sits on the very conservative. The middle policy that I have in the packet is that more moderate policy. And then that final one is, again, a more conservative. The question becomes, do we want to be able to set our reserves based on a timeline, aka 12 months of expenses? Or do we want to take this more moderate expense or moderate stance and say that we'll target our reserve policy to be equal to 3 to 4 months of annual revenue? By setting it at revenue, which is incredibly consistent and stable for this district, it allows us a little more flexibility so that we're not tying up a great deal of the district's investments in a reserve policy for something that's probably not likely to ever happen. Unlike a city or a larger municipality that can have a lot of variability in its income, we don't have that. So being able to set a smaller reserve still fits in our behalf. We would set a reserve that has to do with operations and programs. A reserve that has some small amount in there for emergency. Another pandemic hits, we want to have some reserve money in there to be responsive. Capital reserves, these are our projects in flux, things we already know are coming, where we've either set contract amounts or we have a general idea of an expense. And, they have program reserve. I would probably break them out, although operating and programming to us is really kind of much the same. The goal really has to do with making sure that our reserves are consistent on a year-to-year basis. So like our investment policy, we would review the reserve policy annually around the same time we do the budget. That way we're consistent with keeping our budget and our reserve in alignment. Whereas the other two policies really set it as it's always 12 months or it's always this, which ties up a lot more of the investment monies. And with our opportunities for expanded clinical care, I think it's important that we have more access and liquidity to some of those dollars that currently would be tied up in a reserve.
Yeah.
So that's the review of that. Does that fall in alignment with the conversations I've had with both of you separately still?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Very
Yeah, so
clear.
it seems to be reasonable that we adapt the, I'm gonna call it the middle one, the one that
This
has
is the-
blue character, or,
Right.
yeah.
Had some blue font on it. Yes.
It definitely, that one was the one that resonated the best with me for sure.
So.
It's more simply written as well, so it is more intuitive. Again, as I've mentioned, both of you, this was more the template. So I would go back in, maybe make a couple of small edits, toss it over to Alex to make sure that he's got his legal requirements that he's comfortable with. And then we could take it to the board meeting next week if you were both comfortable with that.
I am, how about you, Sally?
I am. I just have one question. As like, assuming that we have, I mean, if we send it to the board, are we saying that we want to go with these targets as they're written? So for instance, operating reserve, 25 to 33%.
I would go back through and make sure that this template aligns with ours. So they say 3 to 4 months, which is 20 to 30% of their annual operating expenditures. Ours is not that high. So that math would come down, I think, closer to 17%. And I put a worksheet in here. And I was actually going to use an alternate format, which is the percent of revenue. So if you look at our percent of revenue, they had a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 25. So if you look at our percent of revenue, and I use this fiscal year's anticipated revenue. So if we said 25% of revenue, that's $726,000. That would sit in that reserve component. Where the numbers above that is that 12-month. And that would pretty much see us putting forward $3,500,000 in a reserve, which is really way more than is needed. Yeah.
Okay, and then my other question was, let's say we have all of our reserves set and at any point in time, we're completely flush.
Mhm.
And by that, I mean that all of our reserves are met, we're completely full. Any excess, what happens to that money?
All of that excess will sit into investment accounts until the district decides to make an investment in expansion of clinical care, or we decide we want to now take on a capital project, something of that sort.
And is that stated in here?
That's in the policy that allows us to review it annually and for governance. It pretty much allows the board to decide we're gonna do something outside of something that is budgeted, the board always has the opportunity to say, we didn't budget it this year. We have the funds, let's authorize it now.
I have a question on that, Rachel. Those reserve funds though are sitting as part of a portion of the investments, correct?
Correct.
They're never separate.
Correct, they're not separate
So I
accounts.
just want to make sure that people know that they're not separate, so that when they're looking at the investment accounts, it's a portion of those.
Right.
Okay.
Right, it's not a separate account. So to Judith's clarification, all those funds still sit in the investments. It's just if we were to spend down the investments, we'd have to stop at that level. So we would just keep those funds in that investment account. And then the next year, when we go to reset the reserve, we would just keep that value the same
Okay.
instead of upping it or something like that.
That, yeah,
makes
because
sense.
as you have,
Here, okay.
as you have
Yeah.
conversations about clinical care and other things, spend down to that amount, because that's where you guys have to keep an eye on our reserves.
Okay, got it. Okay, that
Good
makes
question.
sense now.
Good question. All right, so if there's no other discussion, we'll ask that be put on either August or September's agenda for board approval.
Okay, good. And again, I'll keep you noticed based on any changes from Alex.
Okay, sounds good. And maybe that would be something that. No, I think that there is no September board meeting, is that correct?
There is, it's October that we're looking at.
Oh, October now. Okay,
Yeah.
last year it was September.
Last year it was September because of the way that the CSDA or
The conferences,
ADHD
yeah.
conference
Mhm.
aligned. This year it falls outside of our board meeting. But we were gonna go dark in October because I won't be here. And I really don't like it when you meet without me. So,
Why don't they restructure the district?
listen,
Yeah. No.
y'all get a little crazy when I'm not here.
Well, you know, the best way to do that would make sure that I'm out as well, and that
Right,
way
and then
no
nobody-
meeting.
What are you doing in October? Oh, you're busy too.
Yeah.
So maybe in September, the September finance meeting, we can look at Alex's any.
To be honest with you, I don't imagine that he's gonna have significant changes, but if it looks like he's going to, I'll send a note back to you guys and say, let's go ahead and kick this to September if you're good with it. Does that make sense? Yep, okay.
And will this take, or will this go into effect for this year,
Yes.
fiscal year?
Yeah, we can set it for this fiscal year.
All right, next item is approve the transfer of $300,000 from Bank of California operating account to CalTrust liquidity account.
So if you looked at this year's end of year financials, we ended up in essentially operating a little more in the black. So the recommendation, because we hold too much money in that operating account, which we don't need to, Judith has already done a cash flow analysis looking at our lien months, which is now through pretty much December, really, when property tax starts coming back in. We'll have enough money in the account to cover for grants and our expected expenditures. So it makes sense to take these funds where they're not earning us anything, put them into the CalTrust liquidity, and we're choosing that account based on our investment policy so that we're not overloaded in any one of those accounts. And so that we can again gain some of the yield on that. So we'll just make that transfer with your approval.
Any questions about that, Sally? Makes sense. So
Makes
we'll
sense.
recommend to the board that that be approved.
Okay,
And finally, in terms of discussion items, we want to review the district employee health benefits, and that's why Judith made her appearance out of her vacation.
I make appearance in case of questions.
yeah, so we'll do the brief primer. Again, I've spoken with both of you about this, but for our public who will watch this YouTube, the district entered into the CalPERS contract back in 2000. And the way it was written at the time was unique. And unique has been the term that has been used, that Judith has ran into every single time she talks to CalPERS people, some actuarial conversations we had. Everywhere we went, they said, well, your CalPERS contract is different and unique because we never built in the retirement component, which CalPERS has as a provision to our contract, but that we never finalized and enacted. So the way our health benefits are written and the retirement are basically incongruent with one another. Judith has spent a great deal of time trying to work within the current CalPERS contract so that if we were to make some adjustments to it that better fit the district's finances, there's just no way around it. So, and that is definitely the short version
Very short, 24-month version.
of
Do you
this.
think there was any monkey business going on at that point?
No, I think, to be honest with you, there was just a lack of understanding.
Or lack of understanding of what was signed, what was presented, and what were the options for the board.
So keep in mind, for our previous conversation, 1999 to 2000 was a very interesting, challenging year for the district because that's when the district stopped operating the hospital themselves, entered into the agreement with CHS for CHS to run the hospital. So I think that this was one more of that complication so that the district employees who went from all hospital staff to 2 individuals. And I think this was the way to make sure that those 2 district staff kept some sort of benefit. It's impossible to disentangle the rationale of how they got to where they got. So, as I mentioned, Judith spent the last basically 2 years trying to undo a couple of pieces, which had to do with retiree benefits, which we don't have any way of capturing funds for retirees to pay for their health benefits in the future, which means the district would be on the hook for that retiree benefit. Not a tenable financial position for the district. And then it doesn't allow us to change, and she has this listed as incomplete tiering offerings. Currently, the way it's set up is that the district has to pay for the employee and all family at the same rate. There's no way to fix that. And again, that becomes an expense that is just not viable for the district. So Judith found our option through SDRMA, which is our Special District Risk Management Authority, where we have moved our other insurances. And I think at that point, the recommendation was we are eligible under SDRMA. The challenge is that their rates are about 20 to 30% higher. And there's really no way around that. If we went out to the open market, it would be god-awful worse.
35 to 40% higher, we went out to private market.
And it's nice to stay within the SDRMA umbrella because they have options that we probably wouldn't be able to get elsewhere. Right. So that's what's listed in here, and she has provided you some tables of what those expenditures would look like. And while these have the 2025 rates, we're not talking about making the switch in this current fiscal year. Chances are it would start at the next fiscal year. That's the timeline we're shooting for. To get out of CalPERS is going to take quite a bit of time. And then there's a 45-day window after that.
We have a lot of windows we have to hit, we have to submit MOUs, board things, so they have a lot of windows in order to exit, and they must look back at certain things that we've done in the past. So we have to adhere to all of their policies first. So we're assuming it's gonna take about a year to exit, and that's on the assumption they let us exit easily. I've talked to a couple of people who said that they are interested in knowing why we have no retirees out of this district. And so they may ask us to try to pull all employee files, and so that could hold us up on the exit portion of it.
Hence, we're starting this now instead of trying to be locked in for one more year based on those windows.
So if I'm understanding, both retirement or and health would go with,
So our
Yeah.
current retirement would not. Our current retirement is completely 100% simple or separate. We have a simple IRA program that we do for the district, which was part of what started this.
Trying to move that out was a portion of why I was trying to move it out. The original interest was the district only offered health benefits for single employees only, which was the original interest. Why is there no family coverage? But the retirement portion is completely separate. Trying to move that to a traditional 401k or something else that would allow employees flexibility for the money they put away. Is a challenge that comes after we have fixed just the health benefits. But the health benefits with CalPERS, because we lack the pension behind it, ties us in all kinds of different ways for retiree benefits. So that's the only reason we talk about retiree with health benefits, only because CalPERS tries to ties us in. We just have never had the pension side of it.
gotcha.
Because we're unique.
It took 5 analysts to figure out when I took it up to Sacramento to figure out where is our health plan? But they said you have no pension, which is why we have you at 100% premium coverage across the board.
Okay, then,
Right.
so,
From the reason that this is coming to finance is that in next year's budget, presuming all of our timelines and stars align, we would see this moved over to the district's budget. You'd see an increase in that, but we would be compliant with a new contract with SDRMA. We would not have any risk of long-term liabilities, which has been our main concern with the way the current CalPERS contract has been written. So unless finance sees some error in our logic, or you all have some great plan for how the district is going to fund retiree benefits, which I don't know what that magic would be because it doesn't exist. Really, our best option is to move over to SDRMA. So we're looking for finance's support for that. Again, we will take this conversation to the board because they will have to eventually, as a governance body, make those approvals. But we wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of it before we start making those actual contractual moves.
you with it?
I'm with it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so the values that are in here are based on 2025. We'll get the 2026 values.
For an August then, she has them now. Everybody
She has-
has them now. We were waiting for the end of July, but I was producing these in
Right.
July.
So we'll start having an idea of what 2026 will cost us. So when I start doing the budgeting next spring, I'll already have the reality of those dollars so that when we go into actual operations in July, we'll be using real values.
So thank you for saving the district.
I did mention to both of them earlier that had we stayed with CalPERS and been fully compliant with their retiree component, it could easily bankrupt the district within a shorter amount of time, based on how we anticipate some employees may become vested all the way. And that would just be expensive to the point where the district wouldn't have clinical services and wouldn't have the things that our mission is actually asking us to do.
Yeah, realistically. Way too much.
So the key is to hire older people.
So that they can't work here long enough to get vested. I think that's called, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that. Employment law not allowed you to, dictate only hiring old people. Just like it doesn't let you only hire young people.
Well, we're so wise.
Well, let's discuss positions and roles, and that's another discussion. So.
All right, any comments and future agenda items, Sally?
I will mention that Howard has asked that we reinsert for next month the previous report too, which is that 1 month snapshot of the P&L, so that he can see what's happened just for that month in expenditures, other than just the year-to-date rolling. So.
And you were gonna, I mean, for the future, for this fiscal year, you were gonna include the individual months anyway, weren't you?
No.
So just year to date, period.
Yeah, just the year-to-date rolling. The problem is with a 1 month snapshot, if you have, certain expenses that all hit in 1 month, it looks like you're lopsided.
Yeah.
Where when you see it cumulatively rolling over, that impact of a singular event is mitigated. So,
I understand that.
but it's not a problem. We can easily add it back in. Yeah.
All right, then we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for coming in, Judith.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So what do you